What's up YouTube, Jeff back again from DopeTechDaily.com. Today I'm bringing you guys a quick video to talk about your best options for exchanging your Galaxy Note 7 for another device right now. Now I just dropped a video on my thoughts on the Note 7 recall program. I told you guys I'm not using my Galaxy Note 7 anymore, and there's a good reason for that. It's because there's been a lot of reports of people using these phones and having them catch fire now, even without them being charged. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, you can't verify the reports, and that's true, but at this point, I'd rather just not take the risk because the number of incidents is really growing and becoming a problem. So I've powered off both my devices here. As you guys can see, I'm not using them. These are going to get exchanged as soon as there are Note 7s available, my Exynos as well as my Snapdragon 820 devices. So I want to give you an idea of what you can exchange this for right now in the Android space or even outside the Android space. So I'm going to show you some current phones that I really like, that I've reviewed, or maybe ones that I'm currently still reviewing, so you guys can see what I think. And then at the end, I'll talk about upcoming devices that you might want to switch out your Note 7 for, but those aren't currently on the market. So obviously there's some big phones that just got announced this past week. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. So right now, let's go ahead and get into it and talk a little bit about my picks for the best phones that you can use right now to replace your Galaxy Note 7. My first choice to replace your Galaxy Note 7 is the Moto Z Force and the Moto Z. Now this only really applies if you're on Verizon, which is why I'm a little tentative to include it, but this is currently my favorite phone outside of the Galaxy Note 7, and now that I've stopped using the Note 7, this is going to go back to being one of my daily drivers. You can see here, this is the Moto Z Force. This is the one that I've been using on a daily basis. Now, I just want to mention each of the phones, a few things that it has in common with the Note 7, and then a few things where, you might be a little bit disappointed. This phone has better battery life than the Note 7 in my opinion by quite a bit. It is a bit thicker, the build quality not quite as nice. You see I've got the style shell here on the back. If you don't have a style shell on here, this phone is kind of, I don't know, not ugly, but it's not as appealing as the Note 7 for sure. It's got that big camera hump, you've got the place where the modules snap in, but you can put a nice little style shell in there. It doesn't look too bad. The phone has great battery life. It does have a nice display, not quite as nice as the Note 7, of course, with that Samsung Super AMOLED display or the HDR video or anything like that. It has a good camera, not quite as good as the Note 7, but the place where this phone really shines is the smoothness. Also the Moto Z, most of these things go for the Moto Z. This is the regular Moto Z, which is a bit thinner. Let me take the case off here so you guys can see how thin this one is. This one's incredibly thin. It just has not quite the same battery life as the Moto Z Force, but I've been using both of these. Again, this phone where it really shines is the smoothness, the day-to-day navigation. There's pretty much no UI lag on this phone. Very, very impressive. Of course, the drawbacks to this phone, again, you're not going to get as quality of a display. Also, the shatter shield on here does catch fingerprints, and it even catches some scratches pretty easily. But as you guys remember, the Note 7, the Gorilla Glass 5, I had some issues with scratching there as well. So again, I will have a full review of this phone coming up, but if you're on Verizon, this is actually my top pick. Great battery life, super smooth. It's got a good camera, and overall just a good device. Maybe a little pricey, but this would be my best pick. Again, I'm not going through a full review here, so these are quick specs. I'll have a full review on these phones very, very soon. I like a lot of the modules as well. I think they did a much better job than LG with the G5 doing the modular game. The next choice I have for you guys, if you're going to replace your Note 7 with something else and you can't wait, again, this is if you can't wait for the Note 7, is the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, obviously, if you want the Samsung experience, this is the way to go. The S7 Edge is a great phone. You're going to get the same camera that you would get on the Note 7. You're going to get the same great display you're going to get on the Note 7, just a little bit smaller. You're going to get the same software experience if you like TouchWiz. You're going to miss out on a few features. Of course, you're not going to get the S Pen, not going to get that HDR video. You're missing a few things, of course, but you're getting that Samsung experience. Still one of the best phones of the year. Premium build quality. A lot of great things about this phone. And you can get it on all the major carriers, or like I did here, you can import the Exynos version international, just like you could with the Note 7 if you want to get that little bit smoother experience overall. So the S7 Edge or the S7 if you like a smaller phone. Again, this is a Note 7 replacement video, so I'm assuming people want the bigger phones, but this is a great option, of course, if you want to stick with Samsung. All right, the next phone on my list here is a smaller phone, but it's one still reasonable to talk about. I actually just think this phone is dead, yeah, but I just wanted to grab and do this video. The HTC Ten, I haven't used this phone in a bit because there have been so many new phones coming out, but this is a very smooth phone. I had a few issues with the camera, which is one of the reasons that I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite phones in the world, but the camera is actually much better than it's been on previous HTC phones. The build quality is great. This phone's easy to hold in the hand. The display on it is quite good. The speakers on it are better than the Note 7, of course. The display is good as well. You're not going to get that same brightness, the same saturated colors. And of course, it's also a smaller phone. So that's one of the reasons why I put it down the list a little bit. It's definitely not as big as the Galaxy Note 7. So that makes it not the best replacement. But if you have to get a phone sort of as an interim till you get a Note 7 replacement, T-Mobile's offering people the option to get an interim phone. The HTC Ten might be a good option if you want to check out what HTC has to offer. You're definitely going to get a smooth experience. It's also priced a little bit high if you decided to buy it unlocked. So I would say it would make a good temporary phone, but this might not be a good permanent replacement. The next option that of course you could go with if you want to get away from the Galaxy Note 7 and you want a temporary replacement, or if you haven't had a Note phone before and you just want to go with a Note phone right now, is the Galaxy Note 5. So of course, if you really need the S Pen features, there really are no other options. This is my Note 5 from last year. I did a full review on this phone. T-Mobile has offered to quite a few people. I believe my friend Eric from Easy Computer Solutions, he got a Note 5 to replace his Note 7 until they get the Note 7 replacements in. I think if you need the S Pen features, this is the best option as a replacement phone temporarily. I would not consider this a permanent replacement because, again, this is a flagship from last year. It's not a 2016 flagship. So if you're going to get this phone as a temporary replacement, probably a good idea. The next thing on the list here, the next phone on the list here is the OnePlus 3. Now the OnePlus 3 is a great phone. It doesn't have the same top tier premium build in my opinion as the Note 7. Also, you're not going to get as quality of support as you would from Samsung when it comes to later in life cycle things, returns, etc. from OnePlus. But you do have the great flexibility of installing custom software. This thing does have a passable display. The software experience is amazing. Camera is quite good, and it's also a lot cheaper. It's $400. So if you wanted to get this as just a replacement and save some money, that's something you could do. I put this one further down the list because it's also got a lot of things missing from the Note 7. You know, S Pen, it's not got the same resolution screen. You're not going to get the same quality of a screen. The camera's not quite as good. You don't get waterproofing, etc. So this is if you wanted to save some money and maybe step down in quality a little bit, but have some software flexibility. You could definitely do that. One drawback, of course, is this is an unlocked device, so you can't get this from the carriers as a current temporary replacement until they get more Note 7 units in. And then the last one on my list here is the ZTE Axon 7. I reviewed this phone, did a comparison to the OnePlus 3. There's a lot of good options here as well with the ZTE Axon 7. If you want audio, you've got the front-facing speakers. You've still got the 2560 by 1440 resolution screen on here, just like the Note 7. You've got a good camera. It's not quite as good as the Note 7, of course. Still a $400 phone. Lightning fast fingerprint scanner, though. You still got USB Type-C and quick charge here on this phone. And it's got a nice metal build. So these are two phones that if you wanted to save money, maybe get a refund on your Note 7, save $450. The Axon 7 and the OnePlus 3 are both good choices. They are sort of at the end of the list because these are not sold at carriers, so T-Mobile, they can't give you one of these to use in the interim. And then, of course, there are the phones that are coming up. You could replace your Galaxy Note 7 with something that was announced this week. Now, of course, this is not the one that was announced this week. This is the iPhone 6s Plus. But, of course, we have the iPhone 7 coming up, and that is going to be released next Friday. I already pre-ordered my iPhone 7, my iPhone 7 Plus. So, of course, if you want to swap out the Note 7 permanently, the iPhone 7 Plus may be a great option for you to do that. The only issue is most of the iPhone 7 Plus units are already sold out. So if you didn't pre-order, it's going to be kind of hard to get those through the carrier. Also, I don't know how available they will be even for Samsung Galaxy Note 7 users to exchange. But that is a good-looking phone. Of course, that's if you're willing to go from Android to iOS. I know if it was my only phone, I wouldn't want to switch from a Note 7 to an iPhone just because I'm a bigger Android fan than I'm an iOS fan. But the iPhone 7 Plus does look like a great phone. It's priced about the same price point. You're not going to get as good of a display in my opinion. The camera experience looks great on the iPhone 7 Plus. You always get great support from Apple. Of course, it's going to be smooth. iOS is always smooth. It's going to be a very fast phone. You're just going to lack some of those features and the customization you get on the Note 7. And of course, you'll also lack the S Pen. And then, of course, the other phones that are coming up, you've got the LG V20. You can swap out your Note 7 for an LG V20. LG hasn't released pricing or availability, so I have no idea when you can get that. And if you really want to wait sometime into the distant future, you could go ahead and grab yourself the Pixel or the Pixel XL. Those are the rumored Nexus devices for this year. Google's going to replace the Nexus line with Pixel branding, supposedly. So if you want to wait till October 4th, that's when Google's supposedly going to announce those phones. You could pick those up, see what they're all about, and then replace your Note 7 with that. Again, lots of options coming up, but a lot of people need a phone today. They can't wait for something in October. So if I were you today, I would pick up the Moto Z if you want a permanent solution and you're on Verizon, the Galaxy S7 Edge if you want a permanent solution and you're on any other carrier, or if you're willing to wait and sort of take a step down, the OnePlus 3, the Axon 7. They're great phones. You're going to save a little bit of money. And if you need an interim device, I definitely recommend getting a Galaxy Note 5 from T-Mobile or Verizon or Sprint if they'll loan you one in the meantime, or an HTC Ten, just as a temporary solution until we get some Note 7 replacements. And if you can handle it, if you're not like me and you don't have to have the Android replacement, you can go ahead and grab the iPhone. And of course, that's a great phone as well if you can get your hands on an iPhone 7 Plus. It's very similar in size to the Note 7, so that's also a possible option. All right, guys, so these are my list of best choices for replacing your Galaxy Note 7 device. As you guys can see, there's a lot of possibilities here. If you need to replace the Note 7, I can't even fit all of the possibilities in the frame. So we've got a whole bunch of phones that I just talked about in the frame here. So if you need to replace your Note 7 right away, something permanent, something temporary till they come in, hope I've given you a good idea. Just make sure you power off the phone, get a replacement now so nothing bad happens. All right, guys, I will drop a link to all the recall information below where you can swap it out and also get Samsung's official statement. I'll keep you guys updated. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content so I can make future videos like this. I also have a lot of other stuff coming up this week on the iPhone 7, the iPhone 7 Plus. You guys can find me at dopetechdaily.com, Google+, Instagram, and Twitter at the links in the description. I appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.